Just kidding, live with Barb and Ray. Hi, welcome to our next episode of Live with Kelly and Ryan. Just kidding. Live with Barb and Ray.
I'm Ray.
And I'm, wow. I'm Ryan.
We're having fun today.
You know who we are.
You know who we are, right?
And I just realized we don't have our mugs.
Where are our mugs?
Yeah.
We're going to have to talk to staff about that.
Ghislaine, you're fired.
All right, let's get going. We got a lot to talk about today.
A lot to talk about today.
So today we're most excited. We got a lot of great information to share with you, but most importantly, make sure you stay tuned all the way through this episode because we are going to have Ed Zorn, who is the Vice President and General Counsel of CRMLS, who is going to talk to us about everything MLS. Yeah. Specifically copyright, photos, on hold, expireds, and the most common violations.
Yeah, we have some good questions for him.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
You're going to learn a lot on that. So that's going to be coming up, and then we want to talk a little bit about CRMLS. Yeah. Are you aware that there is now a online chat?
Yes, I love chats. Yeah. I mean, if I don't have to call customer service, I will chat all day long.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, so you can actually chat with a staff member at CRMLS. If you have quick questions, maybe a quick compliance question. They obviously might tell you to send in a formal email or make a phone call, but I think that's a great improvement to CRMLS's communication.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the thing I wanted to bring up today is I know our association's working on it right now, and many of you probably got emails from the association about the new NAR Code of Ethics requirement. So it used to be that you had to do your ethics every 4 years, and you typically did it with your license renewal. Now it's every 2 years, and you don't renew your license every 2 years. Yeah. And here's the deal, guys. If you are in that group where you need to renew or take your Code of Ethics again, and you don't do it by December 31st, PWR will be shutting off your membership, suspending your membership. So if you don't know how to get to all of that information, check with PWR, check your emails. You've been sent an email, but our members don't read their emails.
They don't.
So
you should.
You should go back and look at your emails because all of the instructions are in there. I went in there. I needed to renew mine. It took me maybe 15, 20 minutes to go through all the modules. Really quick and easy. Learned a few things. Done, submitted, and I will have access to the MLS on January 2nd. What about you?
I went in yesterday, and I don't have to do it until next year.
Because you just did your broker's license.
Yep.
Yes.
So I was very happy, even though it doesn't take too much time. No. But I went in planning to do it and realized, hey, I don't need to do it this year.
You don't need to do it.
So check it out. Yeah. And probably half of the people don't need to do it, but if you have to,
get
it done.
A lot do. Yeah.
Yep. So now we're going to talk about two very important propositions, Prop 5 and Prop 10.
Yes.
And if you guys don't know what these are, I think C.A.R. just sent out an email a couple days ago about it. So very important information in there. We're going to touch briefly on them. Prop 5, why don't you take over? You're better with this kind of
Prop
stuff.
5, vote yes. Prop 5 is the initiative that actually C.A.R. sponsored, which will effectively change the Prop 6090 rules. And Prop 6090 is where you can take your property tax base with you if you're a senior citizen over the age of 55. The problem is you can only do it once, you can only reciprocate in certain counties, and you can only go to 105% of the value of the home you sold. Well, if you have a $700,000 home, you can buy $735,000?
Yeah.
What are you going to find?
Yep, and I think a lot of my clientele are older, have been living in their houses a long time, done well, and they want to maybe move closer to the beach. Yep. But they're stuck in their homes because
they don't want to give up that property tax
basis. Yeah, so this is a good. It's going to create a lot of inventory. It's going to help us as realtors.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the opposition?
Yeah, the opposition is the cities and the counties and fire and schools and everybody else. Of course, they think they're going to lose a ton of money. Unfortunately, the analysis that were done with the state weren't done necessarily in a detailed format.
They were lopsided.
They're lopsided a little bit. And so, but realtors, we need your help, and we need your help spreading the word. This effectively, I think around 40,000 new transactions the first year. And this is not so realtors can sell more houses, which is what they're going to phrase it as. Yeah. This is so that we can get people to move out of property that they're sitting in so that new home buyers and young home buyers specifically can move into those properties and get those baby boomers effectively out of their homes and into other properties. So it's really, really important.
And if you think about it logically, the opposition is saying that it's going to hurt the taxes that the counties are getting and fire's getting, but think about it logically. One house, this person's been living there forever, not paying any property taxes, and they're going to move and they'll have their lower tax base, which is blended, by the way, where they go. Yep. But this house now, that property tax that's been stuck in the 60s for that long is now going to go up. So it should balance out. And I really don't understand why the opposition doesn't understand
C.A.R. is working really hard on this. And if Prop 5 doesn't pass, although we hope it does, we've got some alternative solutions coming down the pike. So this is really important to C.A.R. And I'm proud to be a C.A.R. member and director and moving this forward.
That's part of this,
But more importantly is Prop 10. Big fat no. Vote no. And this is the repeal of Costa-Hawkins. And most of our members, we talked about this on prior episodes, but most of our members don't understand what Costa-Hawkins is. And Costa-Hawkins was a bill that was enacted by two assemblymen, Costa and Hawkins, back in the late 90s, I believe. And it says that if a city is rent controlled, it puts some restrictions around that rent control. And one of the biggest restrictions that I don't think our members know is that if the city's rent controlled, Costa-Hawkins prevents that from a single family or condo being rent controlled. So for instance, we just did a lot of work at the association to push back rent control in the city of Long Beach. I live in the city of Long Beach. If Costa-Hawkins got repealed and Long Beach had rent control, my single family home is now rent controlled. And guys, that means the government can tell me how much to rent my private property for?
Yeah, absurd. And kind of taking that a step further it's amazing. I was talking to an agent recently, and the rent control subject came up, and that agent was in favor of rent control. And I'm shocked with what we do as realtors that
they don't know
anybody would be in favor of rent control. This is private property rights, people. This is what we advocate for and fight for on a daily basis, and they're taking that away from us by enacting rent control. So
I think the other thing that's important for our members to know is the only thing that economists can agree on, every economist, is that rent control is bad. It effectively does not fix the solution that they're trying to find. Look at San Francisco. Do you think San Francisco has affordable housing? Why?
Rent control.
Rent control.
Do your research, and we're going to put some links at the bottom of this YouTube so that you can do your research, because it really is, anybody that has looked into it, it's bad.
It's bad.
It's amazing.
And we'll be doing some more education as an association over the next coming months. But most importantly, Prop 5, yes. Prop 10, no. Double no, triple no. And the thing about Prop 10 is it affects everybody. It could effectively affect everybody, because it's not good for renters either.
Yeah.
It's not good for renters either. So,
and then on that same note of an agent being in favor of rent control, another thing I want to talk about, as realtors, we are pro-housing.
Yes.
And so it's amazing to me when I hear of a new housing development coming up and a realtor being against it. Look, I'm not saying we're in favor of putting up a 10-story building next to residential homes.
Exactly.
But when somebody's building property
something that makes sense,
we are for that. We need housing. That's what's going to make the prices go down. You can read any economist is in agreement with that. That's how it works.
We're having an issue. Leslie Appleton Young, if you don't follow her on social media, just put out a great post yesterday. And it's a graph talking about, I believe, California stats of population versus housing in the 80s versus now, and it is frightening.
And how many realtors, too.
And how much our population has grown, except our transactions have only gone up like 100,000 since the 80s. But our population has, like, I don't know, gone up exponentially. So I completely agree with Ray. Do your research. Get involved in your cities. Understand what's going on. Don't just jump on Nextdoor. God forbid.
I don't even go on anymore.
And jump on the blogs and get wrapped up in what everyone else, they're not educated like we are. You have a real estate license and you have an obligation to be pro-housing.
And don't be a realtor NIMBY. And if you should know what NIMBY is.
I would say, they may not know what NIMBY is.
If you don't, Google it. And,
be a YIMBY.
Be a YIMBY. And even to the point of when a housing project comes up in your city, go to the council meetings and the planning commission meetings in favor of these things, because the people that have the loudest voices are the ones that don't want it. And that's when it's difficult as a planning commissioner or city council member, when all you hear is no, 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 no coming in the door, but everyone at home that maybe agrees with it isn't going forward. And so I would love to see that kind of effort of people actually
Yeah.
going out to these meetings
Yeah.
and being in favor and speaking to councils and planning commissions.
Help us
about
out,
that.
guys.
Yeah.
So the last thing actually to tie right into C.A.R. and where you should go get educated on this and a plethora of topics. We talked about it last month. But plethora, that's a big word,
that's
right?
a big word.
It's a big word for Barb. Is the new C.A.R. REimagine conference. We talked about it a little bit last month, but more and more information's coming out. And these Tuesday paid tracks, there's some good options. And I want to go through this really quick. There's going to be how to create a successful business plan, which I think a lot of agents don't even have a business plan. It'd be a great day for you to go learn that. There's going to be a new agent track, all things for new agents. A broker track, all things for brokers, which I think is great. A team track.
Okay.
How to go effectively run teams, deal with teams, software for teams, panels about teams, and teams obviously are the hot topic.
And I heard you're kind of a big deal, and you might have a little
I might have a discount.
Okay.
So I am a C.A.R. influencer, and therefore I have a special code, REIBAR. I think that's REimagine and the first initials of my name. We'll put a link in this video that you can get $15 off one of those tracks or one of the keynote lunches, Platon and Leslie Appleton Young, and you'll be entered to win a $100 gift card to Amazon, I believe. So use that code. Anyone can use it. Feel free to use it. Get registered. Remember, Tuesday's paid, Wednesday, Thursday are free. And I highly recommend you attend and go learn some things.
And the trade show. We haven't really touched on the trade show.
It's called The Hall.
Okay.
It's not the trade show anymore.
All right. So
The Hall.
The Hall?
The Hall.
Okay. So go to the Hall.
Go to the Hall.
Talk to vendors. And, you know, when you're at these things, actually go up and engage these vendors and the people
learn.
at the booth. Go at Inman, I was walking up to people, and it's weird because you're almost like, don't bother me, don't bother me. But go up and just say, what do you do? And get a business card and get pens and get all the cool stuff that they have there.
Yeah,
and
like you
learn.
said, chip clips and pens.
Yep. And if you see one of us, we would love for you guys to say hi.
Absolutely.
Too,
Who knows? We might have a camera with us.
Yep.
Maybe you'll be on an episode of Live with Barb and Ray.
It's in our hometown. It's here in
Long
Beach.
And visit the PWR booth. PWR will have a booth in Association Alley. So visit the booth. Last thing before we jump into Ed. Our charity foundation coming up on Friday, October 19th. The PWR Charity Foundation. I just said that. California Dreamin Wine and Beer Festival. Look at this flyer.
That's nice.
I mean, Jay's pretty slick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good. Wine, beer, food, music, raffles, networking, games. Are you going to play some games with me?
Possibly.
Yeah. All of this, all of the proceeds from this event go to our charity foundation, specifically benefiting our Opening Doors program, which, you know, I think not enough members know about. So
I was just going to say,
we should
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. You know, we have the charity foundation, and those funds go to support first-time home buyers and veteran home buyers. And they can get, it's not a ton of money, but it's a couple $1,000. But to a first-time home buyer, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they've
the
got
applications
money.
are on our website.
Apply.
Apply. So yeah, it's definitely a good cause. And it's a lot of fun. If you've never been, go. You're watching the video, mark your calendar and show up because it really is fun. You walk around, all of the vendors have a wine and they put it in a paper bottle or paper bag,
and beer,
and then we go around and you judge the wines, and so at the end of the night it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you
Uber there.
Meet other realtors. Yeah, Uber there. Yeah. Meet other realtors and have a good time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, we are going to go into our interview with Ed Zorn. We'll get everything set up and we'll be back in just a second.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, it's time now to introduce you to our special guest for today, a very important person at our MLS, CRMLS. We have Ed Zorn, who is our Vice President and General Counsel at CRMLS, and he is going to talk to us about the important topic, the hot topic that everyone talks about, the MLS. And what's going on at the MLS, what the current violations are, what's going on, what you guys are doing to drive compliance crazy, and what you can do to stay out of trouble. So, Ed, welcome.
Welcome, Ed.
Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for the opportunity to come in and talk with you guys today.
We're fabulous. No, thanks for being here.
I bet you this will be one of our most watched videos because this is just the topic that everyone, it's the hot topic always in our industry. So we're excited to have you, Ed.
Okay, let's jump right into the number one big C word of CRMLS. Copyright. Okay.
Yes.
The number one feedback we get in copyright issues at the board level is Google said I can use their photo.
Correct. And we hear that all the time too, and unfortunately they're wrong. We've actually I personally have reached out to Google in an effort to secure the rights for our agents to be able to use Google Street Views.
Wow.
And Google has said no. We have it in writing. It's actually part of our package that we use for evidence when we go to hearings on this issue. And it's kind of an easy to understand component where people just kind of misunderstand the reading of the Google rules. They see on there that Google does allow you to use Google Street Views, but what they do is they fail to keep reading, right? That document is actually multiple pages long. First off, the first limitation is it's for private use only, no commercial purposes. Now, keep in mind, when we send out a listing, when you input a listing into our MLS system, we syndicate that listing to 21,000 agent and broker websites. I am assuming the reason you're putting the listing into the multiple listing service is to engage in some type of commercial activity, such as trying to sell somebody's house, right? Yeah. So that issue alone destroys this argument that Google says I can use the Google Street View. The other issue is really what you're doing and how people interact with Google on the MLS is they go to the website, they put the address in, they take a screenshot, and then copy and paste, save it to their computer, and put that into the MLS as a photo, right? That's what they do.
Yep.
That is called in our industry scraping. Right? What Google lets you do as on your personal website or a blog or something like that would be to write code so that if someone typed an address into your website, the Street View could be up and show, and there would be a direct link, almost like our IDX system. When you do a Facebook post on IDX, you know how you're supposed to link back to an IDX compliant website. Those are the same kind of rules that Google has for their coding when you are allowed to use the Google Street Views. In fact, paragraph 3.2.4 of the Google Terms of Use says no scraping. Customer will not extract, export, or scrape Google Maps content for use outside the services, period.
Period. End of story.
Right? So they even put some examples in. Customer will not prefetch, cache, index, or store Google Maps content for more than 30 days, right? Obviously, once these listings get input into the MLS, we keep them forever. So it's definitely scraping is actually the definition of what these agents are doing, and Google's very firm against that activity.
And how are you guys handling those citations now?
Yeah, we do know. So we're very sensitive to this issue because copyrights are extremely important. There's a number of lawsuits going on. You're going to see here in the news. In fact, if you read Inman today, there's a big article on the VHT versus Zillow case, which was heard on appeal in the Ninth Circuit yesterday. We're talking about an $8 million judgment, okay, for use and inappropriate use of photos and copyright violations. So we're talking about huge dollars and cents here. So as the MLS, we have a very important obligation to make sure you guys, as the agents and brokers, don't get into trouble. And we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars of potential liability on your end if you are found to be knowingly in violation of someone's copyright. So what we've done, because specifically on this Google issue, what our staff is going to be doing now is when we see a Google Street View as a photo, they're usually doing it, honestly, because they're too lazy to go out and take a next to your photo. That's 90% of what we see.
What excuse do they give you for that?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's things like it's too far away, which always, the house is just too far away, which I always think is kind of funny considering you have the articles, right, of our Code of Ethics, which say you need to be competent in the area that you're representing. So they're, in fact, admitting to being unethical in most of the excuses that get laid out. They're funny, right? My camera didn't work, right? I'm pretty sure we all have a phone that if I called you right now, you'd whip out a phone that has a camera on it that's, high quality enough to take care of this issue. So they're just all lame excuses on why you have no photo. Honestly, if you don't have a photo in 5 days, I'm not exactly sure why you're a real estate agent. You know,
Amen.
At that point,
Amen
you've got
to
a
that.
broker
Right?
who's also responsible, right? Don't you have other people on your team?
Yeah.
I mean, it really does seem like getting a photo in is not that challenging of an issue. And really, are you really providing the kind of service that is expected and meeting your fiduciary obligations to a client by in the first 5 days of a listing?
100%.
not
I'm at a
having
loss
photo?
for words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the new
So-
what's the new policy going to look like, or what are they working
So
on?
the policy is going to look like is if we see a Google Street View, what we're going to do is we're going to pull it out of the MLS at the staff level.
Okay.
And we're going to issue you a 2 business day warning. We're going to give you a warning notice saying your listing does not have an exterior photo because we just took it out, right?
Yeah.
We just removed the Google Street
Okay.
View. And in that warning, we're going to give you in big red, it's going to say you may not upload a Google Street View. And we've also recently updated our photo upload input on the MLS. In big red letters, it says in there, you may not upload a photo for which you do not have the licensing rights, such as photos taken from the internet, like from Google Street View, right? So we now have warnings in all
Good.
of these places.
Good.
If you re-upload the Google Street View again after we've removed it, then you will get hit for a $1,500 copyright violation fine.
Yes.
Re-upload after that email, you deserve a $1,500 fine.
Yep.
That's kind of how we looked at it. That way we kind of have eliminated these excuses about the, well, I didn't know, Google
Yeah.
let me do it. We've told you in no uncertain terms that it's not allowed. And
Yeah.
if you choose to ask me to give you a fine, I will say yes, and we will hand it out to you.
What if they said Google made me do it?
Why does Google make
that
you
would
do
not
it?
surprise me, you know.
Okay, let's move on to another topic. On-hold
Okay.
status. Can you explain to us the right way and wrong way to use on-hold status?
Yeah, so hold is considered an off-market status. So off-market means if I presented to you some kind of offer, right, that you wouldn't take it, right? Because if the property's now in an off-market status, this is really to be reserved for a catastrophe, right? Someone dies. Really, if my wife died, you think the next thing I'm going to want to do is entertain an offer for my home? Right? It's supposed to be if there's a catastrophe like the water breaks and my whole house got flooded out. So now I'm not in a position to take offers and think about what I'm going to do with this piece of real estate. That's the design for hold. Hold is not simply don't show it, right? We already have a button in the showing instructions that says do not show, right? Happens all the time for tenant-occupied properties, and all kinds of situations. So hold should not be used only for a showing instruction. Use the showing instructions for that.
Or to manipulate days on market.
Certainly not if the intention is to manipulate days on market and you're continuing to do any kind of marketing, then that's definitely an issue. The challenge we have at the MLS level in compliance is these are very fact-sensitive matters. And compliance is really set up at CRMLS to deal with the no photo issues like we talked about before. Someone putting in a Google Street image, right? We don't need a lot of factual analysis to occur about that violation. We can see it. The evidence is right there. When you're dealing with a hold and why something is on hold, that is something really that if you think someone in your neighborhood or area is abusing hold, what you really should do is report that and develop those facts to the local association so that you do a full disciplinary complaint at that level so facts can be presented. Remember, too, that hold requires written instructions, right? So in compliance, we will ask, did the seller provide a written instruction to place the property on hold?
That's important.
This is not something that the agent should be doing without the specific direction of their client.
Yeah. I want to circle back to one thing you said. It's a great time to talk just a few moments about it. You mentioned the difference between compliance and our pro standards. And so what I'm hearing you say is for the little simple MLS violations, click the button, send it in. But for things that need investigation or proof, that's better handled at the association level. That just because you guys in compliance say there's no violation, it doesn't mean it's not a code of ethics violation.
Absolutely. And in fact, when someone reports an issue that they see in the MLS to the compliance department, in the standard email that we send back kind of confirming that we had received their complaint, And certainly if we say, we didn't take action on this, we recommend that if they feel that we are wrong in compliance and that this is actually a rule violation, that they should take it to their local association and that they should file their paperwork to argue the case. Remember, we're dealing here with compliance analysts. We get 1,500 complaints a month.
Wow.
Okay, so we don't have the time or the ability to go out and talk to the seller, right? There are certain things that, if you think about it, kind of makes sense, right? We're analysts sitting at a computer desk looking at what was put in the MLS. If the alleged violation deals with facts and issues and evidence that are outside the four corners of my computer screen, that's really not something that the MLS can deal with on a compliance matter. Remember, our rule sets are 54 pages, but our citation policy is only 3. So we don't enforce at the compliance level every single rule that exists. We enforce those rules that are easy to see on the surface.
Gotcha.
So along those same lines, I had the question of expired and canceled listings. It's
Yes.
starting to kind of get out of control where sellers are getting upset. Ray, you put my phone number in the MLS, I'm getting bombarded. I know that's a slippery slope and kind of has to do with the same violation policy. Can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Sure. It is, right. So we have a rule in the MLS. It is Rule 12.11. And what it basically says is what you're allowed to use the MLS for. And the MLS is for the purposes of helping agents represent buyers and sellers in selling their home, right? Or appraisers in doing evaluation. You know what the MLS is not for? Getting you a client, right? It is not a database for you to be using to determine who may be interested in selling their home, and it didn't go that well, so now let me make a short list of who I should call who may want to sell. That's not what the MLS is for. It kind of works like this. We're very competitive in the real estate space for clients, right? And that's a good thing. That's how it's been designed. And so you should be getting clients, however you want to get clients, outside of the MLS information. Once you get a client and you represent them, that's when we come together in a cooperative spirit and we use the multiple listing service to share information so that I can help your client maybe find a home, or I can bring my client to your client's listing.
Yeah.
That's the point. It's not geared to make it easier for you to get business. That's not the purpose of the MLS. So if you take if you do a search every morning at 8 a.m. for expired listings, and you jump on the phone at 9 and start calling those people, that is absolutely a violation of the MLS rules.
I hope our members heard that.
Yeah.
I hope they heard that loud and clear.
And we didn't touch on this earlier before we got onto this, but when I've confronted agents about that and brought that up, you know what their excuse is? Well, I didn't use the MLS. I use Juggler. Or there's different apps or programs that are, I'm assuming, scraping the MLS and giving them that information. Same thing, right?
Correct. From our perspective, the rule talks about using MLS information. In fact, that's the title of the rule, use of MLS information.
Yeah.
It didn't say use of the MLS software package inside of Matrix.
Yeah.
Right? It's the use of the MLS information. Yep. So the fact that it was scraped or it comes washed through some third-party data provider, from my perspective, doesn't change the nature of the beast of what they're doing. And like you said, right, the consumer is absolutely livid about this.
Yes.
And we have to be careful as an industry. Realize people let us into their homes, right? They give us their most personal piece of information to try to do this business, and we risk losing those benefits with these kinds of actions. Yeah. Now, the challenge we have at CRMLS is this is another example of a very factual, heavy pieces of evidence.
Yeah.
Right? It is much better, in my opinion, that if you're a seller and this happens to you, or you have a seller who calls you after it's gone expired about the craziness that happened, you should encourage that member of the public to go to the local association, to gather the cards and the solicitation materials and to go to the local association to file a disciplinary action, which we all know, right, carries a $15,000 maximum fine.
Yep.
This issue will never go away until someone goes in and complains, has a hearing in front of Pro Standards panel, and a $10,000 or $15,000 fine is levied against someone for these actions. That's when this will stop happening.
Okay.
Love
Thank
it.
you on that.
And just to wrap up, most common violations.
Oh, always the same. You know, which shocks me that we still talk about no photos, right, of being a major violation.
No photo?
Yeah.
No photo, right? That's one of the top of the list. Late entry of listing, that's not getting your listing input into the multiple listing service within the requisite 2 business days. Also failing to file the proper exclusion form is up at the top of the list. And then our general kind of catch-all of inaccurate information, right? Having wrong square footages, wrong bedroom counts, you know, these types of issues kind of are up there as the typical. Really, if you're a good agent and you're doing a thorough job in interviewing your seller, gathering the pieces of information you need, and following some of those real basic rules that we all know. Now, you may not like them, but we all know them, right? If you follow those, then you should pretty much stay out of trouble.
Well, you have been a wealth of information today. I hope our members listened loud and clear, and share this with a friend, right? Phone a friend and tell them they need to catch this episode and hear from Ed what's really going on at the MLS level and what agents are doing to, frankly, cause problems for themselves and other agents in the industry. So thank you so much for being here today, Ed.
Thanks,
we
Ed.
appreciate you so much. We're very grateful. And
Great.
if you guys have additional,
having me on, I appreciate it.
yeah, of course. If you have additional questions, you can always reach out to our professional standards department, or CRMLS's website has a wealth of information as well. And I think that wraps up today.
Yeah, thanks again for watching, and stay classy out there, PWR.